Will Wheaton and Cirroc Lofton meeting shows Star Trek dropped the ball with a Wesley Crusher and Jake Sisko crossover. When Star Trek fans saw Will Wheaton and Cirroc Lofton meet in person for the first time, the photo quickly went viral. Two beloved actors who each represented the next generation of their respective crews, Wesley Crusher from Star Trek, The Next Generation, and Jake Sisko from Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, finally in the same frame. The image wasn't just a fun convention moment. It was a vivid reminder of what could have been. Their on-screen meeting never happened, even though their paths logically could have crossed. Looking back, the missed opportunity for a Wesley and Jake crossover feels like one of Star Trek's biggest emotional and narrative what-ifs. Both characters embodied what it meant to grow up in the 24th century, in the heart of Starfleet's expanding frontier. Both were shaped by the influence of their fathers, one a Starfleet legend, the other a commanding officer navigating life in the shadow of the prophets. Wesley and Jake were natural mirrors to each other, reflections of two distinct but complementary sides of the same Federation ideal. Yet, Star Trek never took the step to unite them, leaving fans to imagine the rich possibilities their friendship or mentorship might have brought to both series. The Federation's two sons. In The Next Generation, Wesley Crusher's story was, from the beginning, one of potential and pressure. The son of Dr. Beverly Crusher and the late Jack Crusher, Wesley grew up aboard the USS Enterprise D, essentially Starfleet's crown jewel. Surrounded by legendary figures like Captain Jean-Luc Picard, Commander Riker, and Data, Wesley became the ship's resident prodigy, often contributing technical solutions well beyond his years. The show presented him as the future of Starfleet, bright, idealistic, and brimming with curiosity. On Deep Space Nine, Jake Sisko filled a similar but more grounded role. As the son of Captain Benjamin Sisko, Jake wasn't the wunderkind Starfleet hoped to recruit. Instead, he became the series' moral center, a human observer of the larger cosmic and political dramas unfolding around him. His arc wasn't about joining Starfleet, but about finding meaning through writing, empathy, and human connection. If Wesley represented the Federation's scientific spirit, Jake embodied its emotional core. What's fascinating is how both young men existed as emotional conduits for audiences to see the vast Star Trek universe through more personal eyes. Wesley gave us a glimpse into the next generation of explorers. Jake gave us the civilian experience in a militarized world. Their stories, taken together, form a kind of yin and yang of Federation youth. The missed narrative goldmine. The Star Trek universe thrives on crossover moments when timelines, characters, and themes from different shows collide. Deep Space Nine was especially good at this, pulling in elements from The Next Generation and Voyager. But somehow, Wesley Crusher never made the jump. It's strange when you think about it. DS9 began in 2369, right around the time Wesley was still active in the TNG timeline. In Journey's End, Wesley left Starfleet Academy to explore the galaxy with the Traveler, a mysterious being who could navigate space-time itself. That departure made him one of the few characters capable of appearing anywhere, anytime. Logically, he could have arrived at Deep Space Nine just as easily as anywhere else. Imagine Jake Sisko meeting this older, wiser version of Wesley, a young man who had literally transcended the normal boundaries of existence. That kind of encounter could have had immense storytelling value. Jake's journey was about human creativity and grounding, while Wesley's was about enlightenment and transcendence. The two could have challenged each other's worldviews. Jake might have pulled Wesley back toward the human condition, reminding him of the value of relationships and storytelling, while Wesley could have inspired Jake to see writing as a kind of exploration, a journey through imagination and philosophy. Such a crossover could have tied together TNG's intellectualism and DS9's emotional realism in one elegant episode. Two perspectives on legacy. Both Wesley and Jake were defined by their fathers, but in radically different ways. Wesley's relationship with Captain Picard was complex. Picard had been the one responsible for Jack Crusher's death, and that shadow lingered over their interactions. At the same time, Picard became a surrogate father figure, pushing Wesley to pursue greatness, even as the young man struggled with his own individuality. Jake's relationship with his father, Benjamin Sisko, was far more affectionate and mutually supportive. The Siskos were one of Star Trek's few representations of healthy family life. Their bond gave DS9 emotional grounding amid wars and politics. If Wesley and Jake had ever shared the screen, their conversations about their fathers alone could have made for a powerful episode. Jake could have helped Wesley process his feelings toward Picard, feelings of expectation, guilt, and loss. Meanwhile, Wesley could have given Jake insight into the weight of living with a father who's not just a parent but a symbol. Thematically, that interaction could have bridged the gap between the next generation's utopian professionalism and Deep Space Nine's exploration of human vulnerability. A meeting of eras. Another layer that makes this hypothetical crossover compelling is how it could have symbolized the passing of the torch between two Star Trek eras. TNG was about the optimism and idealism of a post-scarcity future, where exploration was pure and scientific. DS9, by contrast, dealt with moral ambiguity, politics, and faith. A Wesley-Jake meeting could have literally embodied that tonal transition. Wesley, the dreamer of a golden age, meeting Jake, the chronicler of an uncertain one. It's easy to imagine a scenario where Wesley visits the station, perhaps to observe Byron wormhole phenomena with his traveler mentor, and encounters Jake researching an article on the mysterious nature of the prophets. They'd compare notes, Wesley from a scientific, almost mystical angle, and Jake from a humanistic, narrative one. The dialogue practically writes itself. Wesley talking about seeing beyond linear time, Jake wondering what that means for free will and destiny. The resulting story could have been a perfect fusion of Star Trek's two strongest themes, science and soul. Real-world parallels between Wheaton and Lofton. The poignancy of Wil Wheaton and Cirroc Lofton's real-life meeting also comes from their shared experience as young actors growing up in the Star Trek universe. Both entered their respective shows as teenagers. Both faced fan scrutiny, the pressures of fame, and the challenge of maturing in the public eye. And both have spoken about how Star Trek shaped, and at times complicated, their early lives. Wheaton, in particular, has been open about his struggles with mental health and the mixed experience of being a young actor on TNG. Lofton, meanwhile, often reflects fondly on his time on DS9, but he too experienced the challenges of being part of a massive franchise during formative years. Seeing them together as adults, smiling, connecting, sharing that mutual understanding, was moving precisely because it highlighted a friendship the franchise never gave them on screen. Their camaraderie symbolizes healing, legacy, and the shared bond of those who grew up under the shadow of the Federation's bright lights. A legacy that still matters. While Star Trek missed its chance to bring Wesley Crusher and Jake Sisko together on screen, the spirit of their potential crossover lives on in how fans view them. Modern Star Trek has embraced the idea of multiversal and inter-series connections more openly than ever before. Wesley's surprising reappearance in Star Trek Picard Season 2 as a traveler confirmed that he's still out there watching over